Welcome to Body Bangin, your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
I love it. You know, so many shops are moving away from the DRP model. And you're a testament that there can be success found there. We don't have to always be the slave to the DRP and the way they want us to do things, and making it about the customer ultimately. I love that. So let me ask you a question, Steve. You've been in the industry for a long time. You've worked your way up from the bottom. What are some of like the key things that you feel like you've learned that are so important that bum you out, that other maybe shop owners or managers are just missing it?
You know, I think the key part is no matter how big or small your shop is, if you get to the point where you're doing $1 million or $2 million a month in sales, it's to never let your ego and your personality and your pride get in the way. We have a great shop. We've had great success. This is the fourth shop I've worked at in 21 years. And in each of the places I've gone, we've been able to double or triple in size.
Awesome.
Not instantly. It's taken a couple of years, but we're successful in doing that, building a solid team, building great people. You have to have great employees first. And if you have happy employees, you'll have happy customers. But the biggest thing is, no matter what, even if you have a shop that does $1 million a month, doesn't mean you can't learn from the guy that's doing 250. He may do something better than you. And if you're willing to have a good peer group, and not just one that's going to, keep it surfacey, but have some real conversations. If somebody's doing something you don't understand, admit you don't understand it. Admit that you're running $1 million a month shop and why are you doing it that way? I don't get it. Go visit their shop. We did that before we moved in here. We visited shops. Every time we go out of town, we go and visit in Dallas. We went to Sewell. We went to all these different unbelievable collision centers. Hey, I really like that idea. What if we did that? Just to kind of get a good ideas from them. But when we go to these, national conferences, we're open and honest. I'm not going to lie about numbers. If there's something you're doing better than me, I want to learn that so I can take it back to my business. So I think that's key, is being open and being honest with your peers and having a peer group. We have a multiple guys across the country in different states that I text with every week. And hey, man, how's your week going? We're just checking on each other, especially right now as mental health is a big deal. And I have friends in California where you're at that are getting crushed by the state being shut down. I have friends in Detroit now that are on fire and they're busier than they've ever been. So it just, it's important to check on those guys and girls and see how they're doing and making sure that, they're getting through this, because last year was extremely tough. We're not out of the woods yet, although it does feel like it's getting better, daily. So.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that you guys feel like you did during COVID, since you brought that up, that really helped you to stay afloat and maybe not quite tank like you could have if you wouldn't have done those things?
Sure. I think you have to be willing to adapt with your business right now. That means picking up a car at the customer's house and taking it back there. That's what you have to do. I know it's tough because we had to reduce staff during COVID too. And it's horrible. That's something that keeps me awake at night, knowing we had to lay people off just to survive through this business. But in order for me to have the great people back, the business had to make it through that year. Had to make it through that we're still in. So I think you have to be willing to adapt. You have to understand that, hey, listen, it might be a time to change the business. So many times right now, it appears that State Farm's made this major push to kind of go mostly to MSOs, if not completely to MSOs. And so now might be the time. I know you're scared. Now might be the time to say, hey, listen, it's time to get off the State Farm program and go for it, and just go on our own and adjust now while we're already changing everything else. Because if you haven't, and they come to you and it's 20, 30% of your business, are you going to be ready for it then? Maybe it's best to be on the offensive and be ready for it. But you have to kind of pick who you're going to be the slave to, what master you're going to serve. Are you going to cater to every insurance company? Or are you going to realize that my customer is number one, and the most important thing I can do is make sure that my customer is happy? And I can't do that by also having these agreements, by worrying what my score is every month. I have to make sure I'm taking care of my customer. So I think adaptability has been huge through all this. Thinking outside the box and just relooking at your business plan based on your current staffing and who's here with you.
100%. And you and I talked about the State Farm thing when we talked on the phone the other day, and it's really affected so many shops in the industry. And you guys already don't have DRPs, but you still have to work with the insurance companies when people are making a claim. And I understand how difficult it can be and how frustrating it can be. But I love the idea that what you just talked about. So we've got, all these shops that are getting turned off from State Farm for no true reason, no good reason, they feel. And, they have their alleged reasons for dropping the shop from the program. What are these shops left to do? And I think something key that you said there is basically diversify yourself. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket. You got to have a lot of different things going. And in addition to that, making it all about the customer, because the customer referrals, your insurance company can drive a lot of work. But as you know, without a single DRP, those customer referrals are huge. And I'm sure your online reviews, which I haven't checked, but I bet you they're freaking stellar. So you have actual physical mouthpieces. So when somebody gets into an accident, is like on Facebook, oh my gosh, I just got into an accident. You've got people that are genuinely are like, hey, you need to go to Louisville Collision Center because they help me, they help my husband, they go above and beyond. Then they go to the Yelp page and they're like, oh my gosh, look at these Yelp reviews. It's so huge, and you're hitting it on all ends, and you're doing it because, like you said, if your employees are happy, your customers are going to be happy. So we are so concerned the customer is the end goal. But it seems to me like what I'm hearing from you is we've got to make sure our employees are happy and be taking care of them and caring for them and their mental health. And that starts at the top. So like you're self-proclaimed 99% positive person, that's a trickle down effect. So that affects the employees in your shop. Right. Mm-hmm. Which then affects your customers who walk through the door.
Well, it's tough. It's tough. I've seen a lot of employees, even as COVID started to hit, a lot of our employee spouses were laid off. And I know how hard that weighs on them. And they're concerned about, and there's a lot less cars coming in the door. We saw a 90% drop in business the first week that Kentucky kind of shut everything down back in March. 90%. And you can imagine the panic after we just moved into a new building with a huge rent factor, with utility bills we've never seen before. To move into this 2-3 months after all this, it's just brutal. But being willing to adapt and do the other things, again, it goes back to plugging into the local things. We do every year. We've done it now 3 years in a row. We do a Veterans Day lunch, and we go out there on Veterans Day and we buy lunch for anyone to come out. We shake their hand. We tell them thank you for your service, and we buy their lunch. And it's not a huge. It's $10, $11 a person, whatever it is. But it's more about the fact that I've had people that have reached out and said, man, I just saw that you guys did the Veterans Day lunch. That was awesome. Oh, by the way, I just wrecked my Honda and I'm going to bring it to you.
Right.
Again, the goal wasn't to do it. We did it because we as a business have been so blessed over the past 5-6 years that we want to give back and help other people out because I think it's the right thing to do. But as a result, the more that we've given to other people, giving a car away, doing a Make-A-Wish project, doing all these things, the more we give away, the more it seems to come back. So it's been powerful for our team to see that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question for you. I know that there's not a ton of collision centers in your area where you're at. Obviously, you have some competition, and we have a technician shortage in the United States. Where are you finding your people? Because I imagine it's tricky.
It was tricky. So when I got here, it was a major culture change. Unfortunately, the guy who was the leader before me, the guy who was the general manager before me, he just wasn't here enough. And so the guys, it was kind of really ran the shop, did what they wanted. If they had side work, it didn't matter. It was just kind of the inmates run the asylum, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And they needed to see that their boss was going to be here the entire time. Their boss was going to work hard. Their boss was going to come in here and literally try and make their life better. And so I can look back from, the pre-year 2019 and say that, 95% of our team had their best financial year of their career with us. And it coincided with the business having its best year. But it worked that way because we are dedicated to helping our employees succeed. It's not, hey, if we beat the crap out of you, we're going to have a great year. It's, hey, we're going to help you be successful so that we can be successful. Yeah. And if you run it up front correctly and you manage your expenses and you do all the small things, but you take care of your people, you don't need to. So when I got here, there were 28 people here and only 5 of them stayed over the course of 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And so we just started, and I wanted people that really wanted to be part of what we were doing. And honestly, once we found the people that we wanted here, we really don't worry about leaving. We take care of them. We're invested in them and their families, and we genuinely care about them and want to see them be successful. So they understand that, they realize that. And we feel like we give them an atmosphere and a pay plan and benefits and things that are better than they can get anywhere else. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Marsh, the owner of Valley Motor Center, did things very similarly. He took such good care of his employees that he didn't ever need to go look for an employee. Employees came knocking on his door, hoping to God that they could get in on what we as the employees were experiencing. Yeah. I mean, at Christmas time, he would give cash bonuses out of his own pocket. So we didn't have to pay taxes on it. And we got, what I think it was like 1% of what we made all year. We were freaking stoked, at Thanksgiving, a gift card. He was all about he took care of us like we were family, and we appreciated it. So then when it's on our side, we worked as hard as we could and gave it our all because we were working for him and we believed in him and that culture. And that's exactly what you're talking about. What you're giving out and what you're putting out to your employees, they're going to give back. And so it's an interesting answer you gave. In a technician shortage, you're not having to worry about it because you don't have people dropping like flies, because you're not out there cracking the whip and having a whiskey in your office with your feet up yelling at people. You're out there when it's snowing and you're scooping the sidewalks, and you're sweeping the store if you need to. You get your hands dirty and they see that you're not above them. You don't think you're above them. And that's incredible. Weren't you the one that posted about you out in the snow the other day?
Yeah, I think you have to lead on the same level. It can't be I'm in the 3rd floor and I'm screaming down at you and let's do this. You have to be on the same line, pulling with them and showing them that you're willing to do those things as well. If there's a part at one of our dealerships and we need it for the car to go home, we'll go run and go get it. It doesn't matter. Whatever helps them to continue to move forward. It helps us. It helps the technician. It helps the business. And keep in mind that technician, probably is worth, each technician's worth, $75,000 in sales per month. Even at 40% gross profit, that's $30,000 a month in gross profit. Those people are hard to find. And if you get good ones, take care of them so they don't have to leave. I mean, that's ultimately the goal, to have a good staff, to fight the turnover. The turnover will just kill you, having to constantly train, plus the cost of certification and training. Take care of your people, show them that you're willing to work hard for them, and they'll want to stay part of what you're doing.
Absolutely. So is there...
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.